The hotel's suite smelled of roses and nerves. Bridesmaids fluttered around like butterflies in chaos, one fixing Kim's veil, another recording videos, while her mother kept answering calls with the same proud smile she'd been wearing all week. "Today's your day, my daughter," Mama said, touching her cheek. "After today, you'll never cry again." Kim smiled faintly. If only her heart believed it. Her phone buzzed on the table, an audio message from her fiancé, Daniel. She pressed play absently, expecting another "I love you." But it wasn't. It was his voice, low and careless. "Don't worry. Once the wedding's over, her father will finalize the deal. I told you I'd handle it. She's just emotional, but I'll keep her in check." A pause. Then another voice, a woman's laughter. "You're marrying her for business, Daniel?" "Of course. You think I'd be with someone that boring if not for what her name carries?" The phone slipped from Kim's hand. Her knees weakened. The laughter in the room faded into muffled silence. Her mother's voice broke through. "Kim, are you okay?" She forced a nod, blinking fast. "Yes, just need a moment alone." As the door shut behind them, her breaths grew sharp. She looked at the gown, the lace, the white satin. Suddenly it all felt like a costume. Her reflection stared back, trembling. "You're not doing this," she whispered. "Not for them. Not for a lie." She grabbed her robe, phone, and ran. Down the corridor, her heart thudded louder than her footsteps. Guests turned to stare, a bride running barefoot through the hallway. She didn't stop until she found a door slightly open. Room 509. Without thinking, she pushed it and slipped inside, locking it behind her. "Hey, what the hell?" a deep voice snapped. Tabena stood by the window, half-dressed, startled. His tall frame caught the light like a silhouette from a dream. Kim froze, breathless. "Please, I just need to hide." He frowned. "Hide? Are you running from your wedding or a crime?" "Something worse," she whispered. "A lie." He studied her, the messy hair, the trembling hands clutching a phone, the ring that glinted like betrayal. "You're a bride," he said slowly. "Not anymore," she murmured. Silence filled the room, thick, charged. He sighed, running a hand through his hair. "You can't just barge into a stranger's room." "Then call security," she said softly. "But please just give me 5 minutes before you do." Something in her tone stopped him. She wasn't crazy. She was broken. He exhaled.
"Fine.
5 minutes. But you'll explain why a woman in a wedding robe looks like she's seen a ghost." Kim sank onto the couch, burying her face in her hands. "Because I have. The ghost of the man I almost married." Tabena stared, quiet, cautious, but curious. "What did he do?" She looked up, eyes red, voice shaking. "He never loved me. I was just part of a deal." His expression softened, the sarcasm fading. "Then you ran?" "I ran before I lost myself." He leaned on the table, studying her like she was a puzzle he wasn't sure he wanted to solve. "You know they're probably searching for you already." "I don't care," she whispered. "For once, I want to be found by peace, not people." He chuckled lowly. "Peace doesn't usually come knocking in a wedding dress." She smiled faintly through tears. Maybe this time it did. The air grew still between them, the kind of stillness that hums. And for a brief, forbidden moment, he realized he didn't want her to leave. The silence in room 509 stretched so long Kim could hear her own pulse. Tabena had returned to his seat, eyes still fixed on her like she was a puzzle he didn't want to solve but couldn't look away from. He finally spoke. "Your 5 minutes are over." Kim lifted her head slowly. "Then throw me out."
He sighed.
"You think I'm heartless? You don't know me enough to be anything else." He chuckled under his breath. "You talk like someone who's used to walls." "I just built one," she said quietly. "An altar made of disappointment." Something in that answer cracked his sarcasm. He stood and poured himself water, then hesitated. "You want some?" She nodded. Their fingers brushed when she took the glass, soft, fleeting, electric. A faint knock echoed through the door. Tabena froze. "Who's that?" Kim's eyes widened. They're looking for me. The knock came again, louder this time. Excuse me, sir, a voice called. Housekeeping. Have you seen a bride in this hallway? Tabena looked at Kim, her eyes pleading, hands trembling. In that split second, logic bowed to instinct. He opened the door halfway. Bride? No bride here, he said coolly. Just my wife taking a nap. Your wife? The cleaner echoed, craning her neck. He blocked her view.
She's shy.
Big day for us too. He lied easily, forcing a smile. When the door clicked shut again, Kim exhaled shakily. You didn't have to do that. He leaned against the door. Maybe I wanted to. Why? She asked. He looked at her for a long moment. Because you looked like someone who's never been protected. Her throat tightened. You're wrong, she whispered. I've been protected all my life, just never loved. Tabena turned away, swallowing whatever emotion rose in his chest. You should rest. Whoever you're running from won't think to look here for a while. I can't sleep, she murmured. If I close my eyes, I'll see the aisle. He glanced at her. Then talk. Talking helps. Kim's laugh was brittle. What do we talk about? The weather? Start with your name. You already know it. Then tell me who you are when you're not wearing white. She stared at him. A girl who thought she was lucky. A girl who thought love was a checklist. Checklist, he echoed. Tall, kind, ambitious, rich. I ticked boxes until I forgot to feel. Tabena sank into the chair opposite her. That's not love. That's accounting. Her lips twitched into a weak smile. And you? Who are you when you're not saving runaway brides? He looked out the window. A man who stopped believing people mean what they say. My last relationship taught me silence can be louder than cheating. Kim studied him. So we're both escapees? Guess so, he said with a faint grin. They sat in quiet understanding, two strangers sharing heartbreak like a secret language. The afternoon light slipped through the curtains, softening everything it touched. Kim whispered, Tabena? He met her eyes. Thank you for lying. He smirked. You make it sound noble. It was, she said. You saved me without asking why. He shrugged. Maybe I wanted to see how far 5 minutes could go. Their eyes lingered, longer than either meant to allow. And right there, in that hotel room filled with stolen quiet, 5 minutes began to stretch into something dangerous, something that felt almost like destiny. By evening, the hotel had grown quieter. Outside room 509, footsteps and whispers faded into the hum of air conditioning. Inside, Kim sat by the window, still in her silk robe, the sunset painting her skin gold. Tabena stood near the minibar, pretending to scroll through his phone, but he hadn't read a word in the last 15 minutes. Every time she sighed, something in him responded. You know, he said finally, you can't hide here forever. I know. Her voice was low, soft. But can I hide here tonight? He looked at her, searching her face for the kind of trouble that comes wrapped in vulnerability. If someone finds you, I'll be the one in trouble. Then let me be your trouble, she whispered without thinking. The words hung between them like smoke. He blinked, then laughed softly. You talk like danger wearing perfume. Maybe danger is all I have left, she murmured, hugging her knees. Tabena sighed and walked closer. Fine. One night. You sleep here, I'll take the couch. She turned to him. You don't have to. I insist, he interrupted, a hint of a smile tugging his lips. I've had worse roommates. Kim smiled faintly. You're kind. I'm not, he said. I just don't like seeing people cry in expensive hotels. Then you'll hate me by morning. I doubt that. Their eyes met again, longer this time. The space between them began to hum, filled with things neither dared to say. Later, as night deepened, Kim spoke softly from the bed. You ever wonder why pain feels heavier at night? Tabena, half asleep on the couch, answered, because silence gives it room to echo. She smiled in the dark. You talk like someone who's been broken too. He turned his head toward her shadow. We all have our cracks. Some just shine better under moonlight. Kim's throat tightened. If you were me, would you go back? Pretend it never happened. No, he said simply, because pretending is worse than heartbreak. She nodded slowly, tears rolling silently down her cheek. I don't even know where to go now. Then stay, he said before he could stop himself. At least till you can breathe again. The room fell quiet. Only the soft hum of the AC and two restless hearts. After a while, she whispered, "Thank you, Tabena." He smiled in the dark. For what? For being the only truth I've met today. He chuckled faintly, eyes still closed. Don't get used to it. But as he drifted off, her gaze lingered on him. The gentle slope of his jaw, the steady rhythm of his breath, and for the first time that day, peace didn't feel like a stranger. When morning came, sunlight spilled across the room, and the lie he'd told to protect her had already turned into something much deeper, a shelter neither of them had planned for, but both now silently needed. Rain began sometime after midnight, soft at first, then steady, like the sky was breathing for her. Kim lay awake, eyes on the ceiling, robe loose around her shoulders. Sleep refused her. Across the room, Tabena turned restlessly on the couch. When he heard her shift again, he rose. Can't sleep? She shook her head. Every time I close my eyes, I'm standing at that altar again. He walked closer, voice low. Then don't close them. Just listen to the rain. Kim laughed faintly. You make it sound easy. It's not, but it helps when someone listens with you. She smiled, small, grateful. You always talk like you've seen too much. Maybe because I have. He sat on the edge of the bed. Life teaches fast when you stop pretending you're fine. She looked at him carefully. So, what made you stop pretending? A woman, he said simply. She loved me like a hobby. When she got bored, she put me down. Kim's gaze softened. And yet you still let a stranger hide in your room. He shrugged. You didn't look like trouble. You looked like someone who'd just lost her map. Her throat tightened. That's exactly what I am. Thunder rolled. She flinched. He noticed, moved a little closer. It's just sound, but it feels like everything inside me's shaking, she whispered. He hesitated, then brushed her arm. You're safe here, Kim. The warmth of his palm lingered. She could feel every heartbeat traveling from his hand to her chest. You shouldn't be this kind, she murmured. I might start depending on it. Then depend for tonight, he said. Morning will have its own courage. They fell silent. Only the rain filled the gaps. She turned toward him, eyes glistening in the dim light. You know, it's strange. You feel familiar. Maybe hurt recognizes hurt. She smiled through tears. You always sound like poetry. I'm just a man trying not to fall for a runaway bride. Her breath hitched. Would it be so wrong if you did? He looked at her for a long second that felt like forever. Yes, he said softly. Because you're still healing. The words brushed her heart, tender and dangerous. She leaned closer anyway, searching his eyes. The space between them thinned until she could taste his breath. He didn't move. Neither did she. The world outside disappeared into rain. For one trembling moment, everything stopped. Time, fear, logic. Then Tabena exhaled and pulled back, barely an inch, but enough to break the spell. Not tonight, he whispered. Let's not ruin the one thing that feels pure. Kim blinked, a tear slipping down. You're afraid. Of you, he admitted. Of what this could mean. She nodded slowly. Then let's just stay like this. No questions, no vows. Just quiet. He leaned against the headboard beside her. Their shoulders touched, warmth passing between them like promise. Outside, thunder softened into a lullaby. Inside room 509, desire learned patience, and two lonely souls waited for morning, pretending they weren't already halfway in love. By dawn, the hotel corridor was alive again, reporters at the lobby, phones buzzing, whispers floating through the walls of room 509. Kim could almost hear her name in them. Tabena scrolled through his phone. Your wedding's on every blog already. Bride disappears before vows. She laughed dryly. At least they didn't say bride found dead. Her phone had been vibrating nonstop since 5 a.m., dozens of missed calls. Daniel.
Mama.
A few from friends whose concerns sounded more like gossip. She opened one text from her mother. My child, please just be safe. That's all that matters. Don't let anyone pressure you. I love you. Kim's eyes stung. She typed nothing back. Tabena watched her quietly. You should call her. I can't yet, she said. If I hear her voice, I'll crumble. And if Daniel's the one calling, I might scream. He nodded. Then let the phone rest. It's caused enough pain. She set it face down on the table, took a deep breath, and looked out the window. He must be furious, she whispered. Daniel doesn't like to lose. Not business, not control. Let him be angry, Tabena said. You owe no one an apology for saving yourself. She turned to him, half smiling. You talk like you've practiced that line. Maybe because I've lived it. They shared a quiet laugh that carried more understanding than joy. Around noon, a knock echoed from the hallway, sharp, hurried. They both froze. Room 509, please, a man's voice called. Front desk. We're looking for someone. Tabena's heart thudded. He motioned for her to stay still, then answered calmly. No one here except me and my wife. She's sleeping. The footsteps faded away. Kim exhaled, trembling. That was him. I know his voice. He came to her side, resting a gentle hand on her shoulder. He'll give up eventually. Daniel never gives up, she said. But maybe I'm done being found. For a long while they stood there, silent except for the faint hum of Lagos traffic below. When she finally spoke again, her voice was softer. Thank you for protecting me from my own life. He smiled. I'm not protecting you. I'm witnessing you finally live. Something in her broke open at those words. She moved closer, almost without thought, until their breaths touched. Tabena, she whispered. If you keep looking at me like that, I'll forget everything I ran from. Maybe forgetting is the first step to healing. Their eyes met, long, heavy, full of the ache of people who wanted but shouldn't. He brushed his thumb against her cheek. Her lips parted. The world outside fell away. Tell me to stop, he breathed. She didn't. But just before their lips met, he pulled back, eyes searching hers. Not yet. Not while you're still running. Tears gathered, but she smiled. Then stay until I stop. He nodded. I'm not going anywhere. Outside, phones kept ringing. Inside room 509, two hearts learned how to wait. The rain had stopped by dawn, leaving the air soft and scented with earth. Room 509 was quiet, only the whisper of curtains dancing against the wind. Kim stood by the window, wrapped in Tabena's shirt. It dwarfed her, smelling faintly of him, coffee, soap, calm. He watched her from the bed, propped on one elbow. You slept at all? She smiled faintly.
Barely.
My mind's noisy, but my heart's still. That's new, he teased gently. It's because of you, she said, turning to face him. You make silence feel safe. He rose, walked to her slowly, stopping just close enough for the space between them to hum again. And you make danger look like peace. She laughed softly, eyes glistening. Do you always talk like that? Only when I'm trying not to kiss someone. Then stop trying, she whispered. The words fell between them like gravity. He reached for her, fingers brushing her cheek, tracing the line of her jaw, moving to her neck. She leaned into his touch, eyes closing, breath trembling. Are you sure? He asked, voice almost a whisper. Yes, she breathed. For the first time in a long time, I'm sure. Their foreheads met, then their lips, gentle at first, searching, then fuller, deeper. It wasn't desperate, it was release. Every bottled tear, every broken promise melted in that kiss. When they finally pulled away, she rested her head against his chest. His heartbeat steadied her. This shouldn't feel right, she said softly. It feels honest, he murmured, pressing a kiss to her hair. And honest is rare. He cupped her face again, thumbs brushing the corners of her mouth. Whatever happens after this, don't go back to who you were yesterday. She smiled, eyes wet but alive. I won't. Yesterday died when I walked into this room. He kissed her again, slower this time, lingering, the kind of kiss that seals more than it begins. The world outside could wait. Time could pause. Nothing else mattered. Hours later, as morning light filled the room, Kim's phone buzzed once more, a message from her mother. Whatever you decide, decide with peace. I'll support you. Kim showed it to Tabena, who smiled. Then she already knows. Knows what? That you've finally chosen yourself. Kim wrapped her arms around him, the shirt sliding down her shoulder. And maybe I chose you too. He looked at her, eyes warm. Then let the world talk. We'll stay here until it forgets how to find us. They laughed softly, two people who had run from lies, only to stumble into truth. Outside, Lagos awakened, horns, chatter, life resuming. Inside room 509, love did too, quiet, slow, forbidden no more. Daniel hadn't slept in 2 nights. The story of his runaway bride had traveled through every group chat in Lagos, each post slicing deeper than the last. He stopped answering calls, stopped pretending to care about business. All he wanted was answers, and he finally had one glowing on his phone. Room 509. The hotel receptionist had refused him a key. He didn't need one. Money and fury opened doors. Upstairs, Kim and Tabena were lost in a quiet morning. The curtains were half drawn, soft light spilling across them. Kim's laughter filled the room, light and nervous, as Tabena pulled her close, his hands resting carefully on her waist. They weren't hiding anymore. The world outside had vanished. She whispered something only he could hear. He smiled, brushing a stray curl from her cheek. Her fingers traced the edge of his jaw. Maybe this is what peace feels like, she breathed. And then, the door flew open. No knock. No warning. Just a violent crack of wood against the wall and a voice torn from fury. Kim. They froze. Tabena's hand still on her waist, her lips parted mid-breath, eyes wide. Daniel stood there in the doorway, chest heaving, suit jacket unbuttoned, eyes blazing. For a heartbeat the room said nothing. The silence screamed louder than any words. He took in everything, the unmade bed, the breakfast tray, her bare feet, Tabena's shirt draped over her shoulders, and something inside him shattered audibly. So this is where you've been hiding, he said, voice breaking on the last word. Kim stepped forward, trembling. Daniel, listen. Don't. His hand shot up. Not one word. Tabena moved slightly, instinctively putting himself between them. You should leave. Daniel's laugh was bitter, hollow. Leave? My bride runs from our wedding to fall into your arms, and you expect me to just walk away? Kim's eyes filled. I wasn't yours anymore, Daniel. Not the moment I found out what I meant to you. He stared at her, the woman he thought he owned, standing in another man's embrace, calm, sure, alive. Something in him softened for a moment, then hardened again. You'll regret this, he whispered, voice trembling. Both of you. He turned sharply and left, the door slamming so hard the walls shook. Kim's breath came uneven, tears spilling down before she could stop them. Tabena pulled her back into his arms, not out of passion now, but protection. It's over, he murmured. She shook her head, pressing her face against his chest. No. It's finally beginning. Outside, Daniel's footsteps faded down the corridor. Inside room 509, two hearts still held each other in the wreckage, shaken, exposed, but unbroken. By evening, news outlets had already twisted the story. Runaway bride found with mystery man at Lagos hotel. Comment sections raged, relatives called, and Daniel's company quietly pulled his engagement ads from every page. Kim turned off her phone. They've made me a headline again. Tabena poured her water. Then stop reading. I can't help it, she said. It's my life they're voting on with emojis. He came closer. No, it's your freedom. Let them talk until they lose interest. Her eyes softened. You really think it'll fade? Everything fades, except truth. She smiled faintly, then looked toward the balcony where the city glowed. My mother's the only one who hasn't judged me. He raised a brow. She called. Kim nodded and played the voice note aloud. My daughter, I saw the news. Don't run again. Stand in your truth. If the man beside you makes you calm, that's enough. Tabena listened quietly. Wise woman.
She is.
And she's tired of seeing me live for everyone but myself. He touched her hand. Then live for yourself first. If I get to walk beside you, I'll be grateful. If not, I'll still be proud you tried. She studied him, the honesty in his tone, the softness behind it. You always know how to say things that hurt and heal at the same time. Maybe, because that's what you've been teaching me. She laughed softly. What have I taught you? That piece can look like chaos at first sight. The air shifted again, gentle and magnetic. Kim stepped closer, fingers tracing the edge of his collar. And what have you taught me? He met her gaze. That love doesn't need permission. Her breath trembled. Then don't ask. He drew her into his arms, and this time, she didn't resist. The kiss that followed wasn't about escape. It was about arrival. The world outside could keep talking. Inside room 509, they finally stopped hiding. When they broke apart, she whispered, What happens now? He smiled. Now you rebuild. One heartbeat at a time. A week later, cameras caught her walking into her father's office alone, head high, ringless. She resigned from every deal tied to Daniel's name. The same reporters who once mocked her called it the rebirth of Kim Adesawa. That night she returned to the same hotel, not to hide, but to meet Tabena at the lobby cafe. He was waiting, sleeves rolled up, the quiet in his eyes the same as the first night. She slid into the seat opposite him. So, no more running. He smiled. No more hiding either. Their hands met across the table, simple and sure. Outside, Lagos buzzed. Inside, two people who'd been broken by lies finally began a story that wasn't written for anyone else. And somewhere on the 5th floor, room 509 remained empty, its silence no longer heavy, just sacred.